We are back with another comparison review. This time we have the B segment sedans. We're putting them head to head to find out which car is for you.
Right, so we have here on my right the Nissan Almera Turbo, and over there we have the Honda City.
So, the B segment sedan market leader, the Honda City, against the ugly duckling that has just turned into a GTR, coloured swan.
True, it does have the Monarch Orange, a colour actually offered in the Nissan GTR. But that's not all it shares with Nissan Supercar, something which I'll go into later on.
Honda has always had it easy with all the cities that they launch. Every time they launch one, it becomes the market leader because it has always seemed to be the sportier one with space. But this time around with the Nissan Almera, it is here to shake things up a bit with a very unique package.
It is in fact a very unique package. A small package also, because I'm sure you all know by now, it comes with a 1-litre turbocharged engine, but that's not all. It also handles a lot better with better safety features even on the base model, which starts from 79,000 ringgit all the way to 91,000 ringgit for this high-spec VLT variant.
Yeah, the Honda City starts from 74,000 ringgit all the way up to 106,000 ringgit with the RS variant.
Wait, this is not the RS variant?
No. Yeah, just to be clear, this is not the car that tapao all the other cars in Honda's viral video. This is the purely petrol engine 1.5-litre variant, which is a lot cheaper than the RS. In fact, it is 20,000 cheaper at 86,000 ringgit. That makes it 5,000 cheaper than the Almera.
Yeah, but mine looks like this. It looks better, it looks a lot sportier than before, it looks a lot more aggressive. In fact, if you ask me, it looks fast even without moving.
Yeah, I think you need to stop right there before it starts to take off and fly. It's got so kwachiao. Now let's go through the details. The City has an all-new look which follows the Accord and the Civic with a large chrome grille, but in my opinion it looks a bit like a flower horn fish. The headlights are full LEDs with fog lights as well.
Yeah, mine are exactly the same.
The wheels are 16-inch in size.
Yeah, I think we are the same size, except mine is nicer and blacker.
Yeah, it's got some black bits on it as well.
Overall, I think it really contributes to how the car looks from the side. If anything, I think this car looks a lot more proportionate from the side view compared to the City. I think it just looks, like I said earlier, fast without moving. Whereas yours just looks like somebody who is doing yoga in a cat-cow pose.
Would you do that again if I agree with you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you have to be on your knees, but essentially you have to raise your back like that. That's how the car looks like.
Yeah, I totally agree with you because of the wheel size and also the gap in between the wheel and the wheel arch. It just looks a bit like that. However, around the back, I do have BMW G20 taillights, full LEDs.
Yeah, I don't know how or why they came up with this design because it actually looks very similar to the current 3 Series.
Yeah, they all look so alike. Even G20 owners put on a City badge on their car just to make fun of it.
Well, mine doesn't look like a 3 Series because it doesn't need to. As you can tell, it looks completely different from the previous model. In fact, like the entire car, a lot more sportier with this black boot spoiler with a rear diffuser and even eye lining around the tail lights, whereas that needs the RS body kit to look better.
Yeah, I do have to agree with you. You do have a nicer rear end. This one here has that common B segment sedan problem, a bit disproportionate. It has got a small round face with big frowning eyes. A bit like a child throwing a tantrum look. Right? Yeah. In the city, it feels like a nice place to be in. In fact, for a B segment sedan, it feels very roomy as well. I particularly like how the leather seats are designed. It's a very unique headrest design. I believe it is to save space, which is quite clever. And it's very comfortable. But at times I do feel like I'm sitting on the fat man or woman, I don't discriminate, because the back padding is a bit bloated.
I, on the other hand, have no such problem. It doesn't feel like there's a fat man in here. If anything, it feels very snug, very sporty to some extent. I feel like I'm being cuddled. And overall, the environment in here does feel a lot more premium, a lot more modern compared to the Almera from before, especially with these dual-tone leather seats, zero-gravity bucket seats as Nissan calls it, and this dual-tone dashboard. I believe you have that in your car as well?
Yep, I have it under the dashboard and also on the door panels as well. And I think it's called ivory white leather thing.
Keeping up with the sporty feel of the cabin, I also have a flat-bottom steering wheel.
Well, mine is not a flat-bottom steering wheel, but it does feel sporty. It's meatier than yours as well, and they come with pedal shifters.
Yeah, I kind of wish I had that because sometimes, you know, when you want to slow down significantly, when you want to throw the car around the corners, it's just a bit inconvenient. That being said, I do have a semi-digital instrument cluster with a whole lot of displays to check out the car's fuel consumption, speed, fuel range and all that. I'm not sure if the city has such a thing.
Well, in the Cik City, there's nothing digital lah in the cluster, yeah? So there's nothing much to see here. Let's just move along to the center. In the center, I have 8-inch touchscreen display that comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I believe the Almera is of the same size, but...
Yeah, it's 8-inch as well in size, but it doesn't have Android Auto. That being said, I think the interface on mine looks a lot better.
Yeah, I can agree to that because the graphic in here is a bit horrendous. But mine's a bit more responsive as compared to the Almera. Moving along, the climate control settings in the city is actually quite nice. I like the haptic feel on the rotary dials. And it does come with a Max Verstappen button. Get it? Max, cool, Max. F1, Honda, Max Verstappen.
You really see the age coming along, do you? The uncle jokes are really coming out thick and fast. I mean, nothing wrong with mine. Perfectly functional, aircon is cold. Let's go with the other features. What about USB ports? I've got 2 over here.
I've got 2 as well with a 12-volt socket next to it. And I've got plenty of storage space, which is quite clever. You get a huge opening at the bottom, space for your keys, 2 cup holders. And what's clever is, next to the handbrake lever are 2 slots for your handphones. Gila. And my armrest compartment is a lot larger as well.
Nothing to see here. Go away.
And I forgot to mention, this car comes with an optional dash cam.
Now, in the back seat, I think with the previous Almera being already very practical and very spacious, in here they have maintained the same as well. You still get plenty of leg room, plenty of knee room, and adequate headroom. And because the front seats are not as wide as the ones in the city, it actually makes the whole cabin feel a lot more airy and roomy.
That's right, the seats here are a bit bulkier, that's why they're a bit more comfortable. However, you do still get the space. The wheelbase is longer than before, and these contoured back seats make it a bit more comfortable as well. You get quite a bit of leg room. The headroom is just nice. The ivory white leather on the door panel is also a very nice touch. You do get a really big water bottle holder on the door panel, which is nice. A large pocket in front, and also sub pockets for your phones. And when it comes to creature comfort, I do get 2 rear vents.
Personally, I don't think those rear vents are necessary in the Almera because, again, the seats are not as wide, so they don't really block the air that is channeled from the front vents to the back. Personally, I've not had a problem with that. As for the other features, I have 1 USB port at the back here. What about you?
Only 1 USB port? I have 2, but not USB ports, but they are 12-volt sockets.
12-volt sockets? Who uses them anymore?
Why not? You can use it to shave or stuff that uses 12-volt, or perhaps maybe cook your rice while you're on the way home. Save a lot of time.
You see what I mean when I say uncle? 12-volt sockets. Which era is he from? Speaking of uncle though, I think the elderly crowd would really enjoy having this armrest at the back here, which is slightly raised compared to the one that you get in the city, which kind of makes you feel like
yeah, that's not too bad. When it comes to boot space, the City is 37 litres more than the Almera at 519 litres, which is the best in class. Look at it, it's massive!
yeah, yours may be wider with the additional cutouts there, but mine has more usable space. It may not be as wide, but it's definitely longer.
But what if you need to carry a lot of air from one place to another? To the things we like about the cars, starting with this, you can remotely start the City using the key fob, which is for you to cool down the car before you get into it, especially after you park it under the hot sun for a very long time. A very useful feature for our Malaysian weather.
As for my car, I like the fact that it has a surround view monitor even though the car is so small. It makes maneuvering through tight spaces a lot easier.
I like it that you can just unlock the car by putting your hand through the handle, unlike the Almera, which you have to always press the button.
The other thing I like is this sunshade here. It's absolutely massive. Now you may find this weird, but for less than taller people, this really helps when the glare gets a little overwhelming.
I like it that the City comes with this thing called Honda Lane Watch, which is basically like an extra pair of left eye for you to watch oncoming traffic in your blind spot on the left, which can be activated using the signal indicator or the dedicated button on the signal stalk.
Now down to the things we don't like about our cars. Although the Almera has a 360-degree surround view monitor, the displays are actually quite poor. It looks like some 80s video game, if you ask me.
Yes, the visuals in here are as bad. In fact, I think it is even horrendous in the City. It looks like a horror film. Look at that.
I wish there was more storage spaces up front here. You only get one little space above the gear lever and two cup holders by the handbrake. What if they're occupied?
Not only that, the angle of the screen is kind of weird, so you catch a lot of glare and reflection from the sun, especially when you're driving during the midday. It's not really directed to the driver, so it's just kind of weird when you're looking from the driver's side.
Back here, compared to the City, this hump is just a little too high. Honestly, I think it would feel a lot more spacious if this was a little flatter.
Underneath Jade City, underneath the hood of Jade City, under the hood of the City is a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine, now with dual camshaft as compared to single camshaft as before. It is paired to a CVT box. It makes 119 horsepower and 145 Newton meters of torque. What's impressive is the fuel consumption figure of this car. Despite weighing 20 kilograms more and with a bigger displacement and an extra cylinder as compared to the Almera, this can do the same 5.4 litre per 100 kilometer fuel consumption, which means you can travel 18.5 kilometers using only 1 litre of fuel.
I've got a 1 litre turbocharged 3-cylinder engine with 100 horsepower and 152 Newton meters of torque. While it may not sound like much on paper, but in the real world, in urban areas, there's plenty of power to surprise, even at low revs, and it actually delivers that power quite smoothly. It is also partly aided by the D-Logic system in the CVT gearbox that can simulate the sensations of an automatic gearbox when you're gradually accelerating. In the safety department though, the City does lose out quite a bit as compared to the Almera. Yeah, while both cars come with 6 airbags, the Almera stands out with autonomous emergency braking, a surround view monitor, rear cross traffic alert, and a blind spot monitor. As for the City, the V variant comes with Honda Lane Watch, but only the RS variant gets the Honda Sensing System, which includes lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, autonomous emergency braking, and auto high beam.
So now, how does it drive? Whether you are driving it or you are riding as a passenger in this car, you get this sense of, it feels kedap, if you know what I mean. Like you're sitting in an airtight Tupperware, which gives you a sense of cabin refinement. It's in the way it rides, the throttle feel and NVH. The engine is really quiet when you're idling. There were a few occasions that I had to tap on the accelerator to find out if the engine was actually running. It's that quiet. Perhaps it's because of the 4-cylinder engine now with dual camshaft that reduces the vibration. I'm not quite sure how Eugene's 3-port engine feels though.
Vibrations from the 3-cylinder engine, I can tell you, you won't feel it more than half the time, unless when you're in traffic. Your foot is on the brake, the car is in D, then maybe you feel a little tingle on the steering wheel. That's my experience at least. And I must say, in the Almera, you do feel a bit more of the bumps when the road surface is rough. But goodness, they've improved so much in terms of cabin insulation and overall refinement from before. This actually feels like a proper upgrade.
Yeah, it's all quiet and peaceful when you're not moving or when you are moving really slowly. When you put your foot down, that's when all hell breaks loose. Overtaking a car. Yeah, it gets really loud when you try to go a bit faster and pick up speed. It sounds all kencang when you do that. It's very loud and all, but it's not very fast.
Mine, on the other hand, is a different story. Because it's turbocharged, you get all the power and torque at very low revs without having to squeeze the engine, making it scream. Anywhere between 2,500 to about 4,000 RPM, the car just glides forward swiftly and effortlessly. Call me crazy, but if you ever pop by to test drive one of these, even just for fun, take note of how smooth it feels. I think you'd be surprised. And considering the difference in powertrain between the two cars and the popularity of their segment, I am very sure GC is considering a drag race.
I wonder which one will win if we drag race these two cars. You guys want to watch that? Oh, not now. Maybe another day. Let us know if you guys want to watch that. We'll make that happen.
The biggest charm in this new Almera, for me at least, is how it drives. It just feels more lively, more agile. All the things I want in my car. The steering definitely feels lighter and more effortless to maneuver compared to the city, if you ask me. But despite that, at higher speeds, you still get a nice weighted feeling.
Yup, the steering does feel heavier in the city as compared to the Almera, which works well in the handling part, but in the driving around town part, maybe not so. The way it rides, however, it just manages to strike a balance between sporty and comfort. At high speed, you get this sure-footed feel, and it sits nicely after big undulations. It doesn't just float about. We both can go on and on about how these two cars feel and how different they are, but because we don't want to make this review a 2-hour feature film, so we shall just summarize it, starting with the City. The Honda City feels a lot more mature in many ways. In the way it picks up speed, the way it absorbs bumps, it doesn't vibrate and rattle your bones loose, and also the way it looks. It doesn't have that in-your-face kind of look. So perhaps the Honda City is more suited for a more mature crowd, I would say.
If you ask me, I think the new Almera Turbo is now more than capable in bringing the fight against Toyota's Vios and of course Honda City. And it's always nice to see a little healthy competition. So, which of these two cars are for you?
Well, if you're looking for something that is more mature in terms of driving feel, ride experience, a bit more in terms of space and practicality, then the Honda City is for you.
However, if you're looking for something a little sportier, exciting to drive, youthful,
Just like me.
yeah, whatever makes you happy, but it's just as practical, then you might want to look at this Nissan Almera Turbo.
If you want to find out more about these two cars, do log on to AutoBuzz.my. If you like this video, do give us a thumbs up, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the logo or the subscribe button below.
Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon for the latest notifications on our newest videos. If you like what we're wearing, check out our t-shirts and other limited edition merchandise at the AutoBuzz shop in the link at the description below.
This is not the car that tapped out all the other cars in the Honda Virals video.
Sorry, I couldn't find it.
It's a bit like a child towing a tangtong. The seats are baby buff. Where was I? And that's all for you today. That's our full review. Thank you.